Hey guys, I'm gonna go over this homework. Now, there were two classes that were assigned 4, 5, 9, and 11, and then there were two classes that only had to do 4, 5, and 9. So, first and fourth academic, you're responsible for 4 problems, 4, 5, 9, and 11. And second and third academic, you only have to do numbers 4, 5, and 9. But if you want to do 11, I would advise it, okay? Well, at least try. So, I'm gonna go ahead and start with number 4. Remember, if you want to compare them at all, they need to be in the same form. So this equation 2 is already in slope-intercept form. Be very comfortable with that phrase and what that means. Okay, this is a line that's in slope-intercept form because we can identify what the slope and the y-intercept is. Here, it's not quite in slope-intercept form, so we're going to have to rewrite it. So I'm going to write y minus 3x equals 0. That's equation 1 rewritten. And it's supposed to look like this, y equals mx plus b. But see, we have a minus 3x here, and that needs to be on the other side. So we're going to put add 3x to move the entire term. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. And then this becomes y equals, and this is a constant and this is a variable term. We want the 3x to come first, so it's 3x plus 0. But usually we don't write the 0 because 3x plus 0 is just 3x. So this is technically the equation, but just know that the plus 0 was there. So now we're ready to compare. So I'm going to x this out and just rewrite it as y equals 3x, so I can compare this with this equation. Caution, this one is trickier than the ones you've just done. Okay, so maybe it's because of the y-intercept being 0. Let's see. Which one has the greater rate of change? Remember, the rate of change is also slope, m. So we look here. The slope, or the rate of change, is 3. Here, the slope is negative 4. So the greater rate of change is equation 2. Here's why. If you look at the 4 and the 3, the 4 is a higher number. I know it's negative, but the higher number is a faster rate of change. And that's why it's tricky. So the answer here is equation 2. We'll talk more about that in class as well. So don't let that freak you out. We can talk more about that in class, but just know that if you didn't have to worry about signs, then 4 would be a faster rate of change. So technically the 4 gets the greater rate of change. 4b, which one has the higher initial value? That's your b. Okay, so let's go over here. The b here is plus 0. The b here is minus 9. Which one's higher? The 0 is higher than negative 9. So if you think about what we talked about in class, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this one, a line crosses at 0, 0, and the other one is at 0, comma, negative 9. This one is higher, so the 0 is higher than negative 9. So which one has the equation, the higher initial value? Equation 1 does. Okay, which one is increasing? Remember, when you're looking for increasing, you've got to have a positive slope. When you're decreasing, you're looking for a negative slope. M means slope. So here we got a positive slope of 3. Here we got a negative slope of 4. So only this equation 1 is increasing, and equation 2 is decreasing because it has a negative slope. Okay, let's go to number 4. Wow, these are already in slope-intercept form. Thank goodness we don't have to do any extra work. So y equals mx plus b. Excellent. Y equals mx plus b. All right, so let's look at slope. Here's our slope, and here's our slope. So which one has a higher slope? Okay, so again, we're not looking at negative or positive, but we're looking at the actual number itself, okay? So let's look at this and this as a decimal. Let me grab a calculator. Okay, so let's look at 5 divided by 7. 5 divided by 7 is, it's like 0.71. And then 7 divided by 5 is 1.4. Yes, this is negative, but look at the number itself. Which one's a higher number? It's the 7 over 5. So over here, this one has a higher slope. So it's going to be equation 2. Now, which one has the higher y-intercept? So we look at the 0.5, and this is 0. Which one's higher? 0.5 is higher than 0. So equation 2, or equation 1, has a higher y-intercept. Which one is increasing? Remember, that's a positive slope. Decreasing is a negative slope. So we go to the slope here. This one's positive, so that's increasing. This one's negative, so that's decreasing. So equation 1 is increasing. Equation 2 is decreasing. So this is when we compare just two equations. Now let's go to the back. Compare two tables. So which one has the greater unit rate? That's the same as rate of change, slope, all of that. So we're going to look at change in y over change in x, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so we're going to do it for both tables. So I'll do it for table 1 and table 2. Now, when we want to write these, we got to find what our, we got to determine what our x1, y1, all that's going to be. So this one's going horizontally, this table, that's fine. So this is your x's. Just take note that these are all x's and these are all y's, okay? So let's pick two ordered pairs, okay? I might pick that one and that one. All right, so now which one do you want to be x2, y2, for example? Okay, let's say this is our x2, y2. x2, remember this is your x's, and this is your y2. And then this right here could be your x1, and this could be your y1. Or the other way around, or you may use other points. In the end, we still get the same answers. So my formula, the way I wrote it, I have y2 minus y1. So which one of these is y2? This 5. Minus the y1, which is here. Remember, these are all y's. Don't get them confused. x2 is 6. x1 is 0. So 5 minus 1 is 4 over 6, because 6 minus 0 is 6. Divide by 2, you get 2 over 3. All right, let's compare it with the other rate of change. So I need to pick some values. Okay, I'll do that one and I'll do that one. So let's say this one's x1, y1. If you want to make that x2, y2, absolutely fine. In fact, I'll try that, because some of you prefer doing the 2's first. So I'll do x2, y2. Then this one has to be x1, y1. All right, so my formula hasn't changed. It's still y2 minus y1. So I'll put negative 4 minus a negative 1. And then I have a negative 2 minus, because x2 minus 0. Now remember, these double negatives become positive, while this one's still negative. So a negative 4 plus 1, 4 negative plus 1 equals negative 3. All right, and then negative 2 minus 0 is just negative 2. So then these become positive. You got 3 over 2. These are not the same, so let's see what these are as decimals to compare. 2 divided by 3 is 0.6 repeating. And then 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Which one's a higher number? The 1.5 is. So the table 2 has the higher rate of change. Okay? Now, at any point in this video, you can always pause, okay, go back over it, see if you can figure it out on your own. B, what is the y-intercept of table 1? Remember, y-intercepts always are 0 something, 0 comma y. So let's look for that 0 comma, here it is. There's my B, my y-intercept. So it's 0 comma 1 for table 1. What is the y-intercept of table 2? Okay, it's 0 comma negative 1 here. All right. Which one has the higher y-intercept? Which one's higher? Well, if you think about it, 0 comma 1 is here. 0 negative 1 is here. This one's the higher y-intercept, which is table 1. So that ends number 9. Okay? Now, those of you that are doing 11, go ahead and do number 11 here. So which one has the higher slope? We got to find the slope, which means we need to find 2 points. Okay, any 2 points that are on the grid that are easy to identify on the line. So I picked these two. Now, you can choose which point you want to start at. Let's say I decide to start at this one. I need to draw my arrows to get to that second one. So here's my change in y, because it's vertical. How far did it change? So 1, 2, 3. So positive 3. Then it turned the corner and went left 2. So it gets a negative 2. Now since this one's the vertical one, that's my change in y, and this is my change in x. So let's find the slope of this line is going to be 3 over negative 2. Alright, or negative 3/2. Let's go to this one. Alright, this one's an easy point right there at 0, negative 3, and that's another easy one, 2, 0. I'm going to pick this one to start. You go up 3, which is positive, right 2, which is positive. This is vertical movement, so that's change in y, and this is your change in x. So the slope is positive 3 over positive 2, which is your answer. Now, interestingly, these are the same numbers, but different signs. So this makes sense because if it's negative, this should be going down. If this is positive, it's going up. All right, let's see. Which one has the higher slope? Okay, this is kind of tricky, okay, because the numbers are the same except for their signs. So imagine without the signs, okay, which the numbers are actually the same. So you would just say neither. Their slopes are the same in the sense as far as comparing which one's higher or lower. Okay, their incline is the same. One's going in a negative direction, one's going in a positive direction. Okay, which one has the higher y-intercept? That means where does the line cross the y-axis? Okay, so the y-intercept here, it crosses the y-axis at 0, negative 3. And this one here crosses the y-axis also at 0, negative 3. So neither. They're both at the same y-intercept. They cross at the same spot. Which one is increasing? Okay, that's a positive slope. Which one's going up? This one is. So that's line 2. Which one is decreasing, which is a negative slope? This one is. It's going downward, so it's line 1. Okay, how do we write the equation? All we need is our slope and our y-intercept. Okay, so what's the slope of this line? We already figured it out. It's negative 3/2. And it's crossing the y-axis at negative 3, so instead of writing plus and negative 3, I'm just going to put minus 3. And that's my equation for that. The next one, the slope of line 2, we figured it out. Change in y over change in x is positive 3 over 2x. And it's also crossing at negative 3, so the y-intercept is minus 3. Guys, our test is Friday, our quiz is Wednesday, so please make sure you're doing your homework.